Hello, this is Yuji. I'm standing in front of Vancouver City Hall. Today we have a special guest on our program, the Chief of the City, Mayor Gregor Robertson. Hello, Mayor Robertson. Thanks for having us. In the next 20 minutes, I want to dig into two things with you. The first is Vancouver's business connection with China and the city's future. Okay. I want to start with your trip last November in Guangzhou. Yes. Vancouver is the best place for Cantonese food in North America. Did you have a time to try the real dim sum in Guangzhou?
So of course, had very good food in Guangzhou. I think Vancouver has very good food of many different cultures. Obviously, Guangzhou has incredible Cantonese food. So the mayor was very good about hosting me. Mayor Chen hosted some wonderful meals and meals with the community as well, which were very tasty.
Mm-hmm. So last year was the 30th anniversary of Guangzhou and Vancouver, right, becoming sister cities. So how did your delegation achieve this time?
Well, there's been a lot of focus between Vancouver and Guangzhou to celebrate our connections, our sister city connections, both with culture and with business. And the celebrations last year we had in Vancouver. Mayor Chen brought a large delegation to Vancouver in June, and then in November we took a large delegation to Guangzhou from Vancouver. And we celebrated, we had cultural celebrations, we had a business mission as well, Vancouver companies who are looking for partnerships in China. And I think on both fronts we had lots of success. We also had connections between our public institutions, our libraries, our hospitals, universities, obviously our cities. So there are many different connections for generations now between Vancouver and Guangzhou. A very close relationship that continues to grow.
Yeah, you paint a dynamic picture here. Yeah. So China now is shifting from the factory of the world to one of the biggest consumer markets. And there's a lot of opportunities in China. So what are some specific products or innovative ideas that Vancouver could bring to China?
Well, certainly we're seeing lots of opportunities in the green economy. Vancouver is one of the world's greenest cities, and our goal is to be the greenest. In our green buildings, we see new technologies to make buildings healthier and certainly less energy use. So we're sharing a lot of those technologies, whether they're design or they're actual products within the buildings with Chinese companies. We're seeing lots of Vancouver technology and green buildings being applied and built in China to make the cities there healthier. We're also seeing that in the creative industries. Vancouver is the world's #1 hub for visual effects and animation. So we're seeing partnerships between the creative companies in Vancouver and in China producing new content, whether it's animation or film and television. There are more partnerships and co-production between the two countries. So Vancouver is obviously a very good portal into the North American market for Chinese companies and entrepreneurs and investors. As the most Asian city outside of Asia, we're very proud of our connection and our diversity here and the opportunities that are created by being on the doorstep for North America.
Definitely, and the closer Canada-China relationship is actually bilateral. Vancouver is also becoming very attractive for Chinese investors and companies. So how do they put down their roots here in this continent?
Well, it's a good question. There's been lots of investment, I think, historically in real estate in Vancouver from Asia and from China in particular. We're seeing more investment now into the startup ecosystem, into new companies that are growing here in Vancouver. Technology is what's booming in Vancouver, and Vancouver has the strongest GDP growth of any city in Canada right now. Very good job growth, and particularly in technology. That's leading the charge for us in terms of economic opportunity. So we're seeing investors now seeing tech companies in Vancouver as great opportunities, whether they do business in North America or globally. There's big opportunities for investors, and we want to see that new support into our startups and to our entrepreneurs to enable them to create more jobs and to be able to increase the trade back and forth between China and Canada.
What are some specific policies from your government help nurture their roots here?
Yeah, we have a couple opportunities. The Vancouver Economic Commission is the city's body that supports companies and investors that want new opportunities in Vancouver. So we help companies to locate in Vancouver, set up a head office here for North America. We help the entrepreneurs connect into the community of businesses and business leaders. We also have an interesting program called the Green and Digital Demonstration Program. And in this program, the city actually puts a call out to young companies in Vancouver to model and demonstrate their technology in the city. So when we have contracts in the city, we want to make them available to new companies, new technologies, so they can demonstrate what they can do, and then they can then take that success out to cities all over the world. We want to be a city that helps to incubate those great ideas and technologies of our entrepreneurs here in Vancouver.
We talk about the Chinese investors here. Actually, there is another group of newcomers, the international students. When they graduate, they face tough choice to stay or leave. Right. So how does the job market look for them in this place?
Vancouver has a very strong job market right now. In addition to the strong economic growth that we have the last few years and projected by the Conference Board of Canada right to 2020, we have incredible job growth right now, and that's it's a challenge because there are a lot of job opportunities in Vancouver. A lot of companies have open spaces. They're trying to grow even faster, but they're limited by needing more people, needing more talented people. So we like to have students, international students, people from around the world coming to Vancouver to help build these companies that are growing very fast, particularly in the green economy and the creative industries and technology. We're seeing great opportunities for people to work, and we're working with the federal government to deal with the immigration challenges there, because we want to be sure that these companies can recruit people, can recruit students who are graduating from our programs here into our businesses and help them grow.
And what are some advices for them? How do they prepare at the beginning when they come here?
Well, certainly there's great opportunities in technology. So people looking at degrees in computer science, and software engineering, there are huge opportunities and many job openings in those fields right now in Vancouver companies. And some of the biggest tech companies in the world here, Microsoft, SAP, we have great tech companies, local companies like TELUS and Hootsuite, who are big companies and growing very fast with lots of job opportunities. We also have lots of startups, small businesses and entrepreneurs who are looking for people, whether they're junior people or actually senior experienced people as well. So really it's important to come and check out what's happening. The Vancouver Economic Commission hosts many events in Vancouver that connect people looking for jobs, people looking for training, startups and businesses that are growing. There's a lot of networking, a lot of opportunities for people to plug in and find opportunities here.
You flew to Paris right after the Guangzhou trip for the UN Climate Change Summit. It was a great diplomatic success at the end when the agreement was signed. And, but it took a long journey to get to that point. So what were some difficulties you experienced?
Well, certainly many countries stalled the progress towards achieving a climate agreement globally. I think it really it took the leadership of the United States and China, actually Obama and Xi Jinping, to actually focus on an agreement from the two largest economies in the world. Their leadership was very important in bringing the major economies of the world together around carbon pricing and taking action to fight climate change. We were very happy to see the new Canadian government of Prime Minister Trudeau become a leader in Paris as well, and calling for more action and all governments to work together, and the support for the countries that need resources, that don't have the resources to deal with the climate impacts and modernizing their economies. So I think there's been a lot of good effort made. Paris Agreement is a good start. We're seeing leadership in the business community, and particularly from cities right now that have been pushing the pace to reduce our climate impact and to grow the green economy globally. And certainly we see that in China. There are great pressures, and environmental impacts are very real for people in the cities especially. But cities like Vancouver, we have solved many of our environmental challenges. Vancouver was a dirtier city when I was a young boy, and it's one of the cleanest cities in the world now, with fresh air and beautiful water. And we want to be sure we can share our experience and the ways that we've solved that challenge here with Chinese cities, and that kind of global exchange between cities, between business, between national governments is going to be how we win the fight against climate change.
Well, there's always a bone of contention between economic growth and the environmental protections. Vancouver has a great vision to become the greenest city in the world. So how does your government deal with the real challenges here to make that real?
Well, the interesting thing is there is no challenge there. Economic growth is supported by a strong environmental policy and going green. And we're seeing that in Vancouver. We are the strongest economy of any city in Canada, one of the strongest in North America right now, and we're also the greenest city in North America. So we see great economic opportunity from going green, from renewable energy, from clean technology, from improving our quality of life and taking care of the health of people. If we put that first, the economy will grow, the economy will benefit. If we degrade our environment and we degrade our quality of life, it will create problems for our economy, especially over the longer time. And I think people are realizing that around the world right now, that true economic growth and prosperity will come when we're really taking care of the environment and we're taking care of the climate. The costs of not doing that are enormous, and we need to make that shift now. And I think cities like Vancouver, we've proved that this is a successful path.
So my question is of course, environmental awareness is very, very important to the future of humanity. Is the green city image for your government as a political strategy as well, that to help Vancouver stand out from the other global cities?
It's certainly a political priority for me and my council, and there's a long history of that in Vancouver. There's now generations who've made good decisions to take care of our city and make it a healthy city, a high quality of life, and now it's good for our economy. The result of that is that was a very good investment for many years. So we see the greenest city target to be the greenest in the world and to be 100% renewable as an economic strategy. We see it as creating jobs and prosperity for the long term. We know the world economy is going to shift off of fossil fuels onto clean energy. We know that we're going to have to make better use of our resources and materials, and we're going to have to be smarter, use more technology, and all of that is going green. All of that is creating opportunity from taking care of the environment and using the precious resources we have more wisely. So I think it's an economic strategy. It also results in much higher quality of life and lower healthcare costs and a much nicer lifestyle. That's an important piece.
If we look at the map, in the Pacific Rim, we have Seattle, we have San Francisco. They have what we have, beautiful oceans, mountains. And if we look at laterally, we have Toronto, Montreal. They also benefit from good policies and Canada's international reputation. So what do you think distinguish Vancouver from them?
Well, Vancouver is very much a Pacific city and part of the Pacific Rim. And we obviously have very close connections on the West Coast, whether it's Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles. We have very close ties, particularly in business and lifestyle, with the West Coast of North America. We're almost like a unique country on the West Coast. We have a lot of trade, and we facilitate trade across Canada and the United States as the gateway to Asia for North America. Because most of our economy and most of our culture, frankly, is reflective of the Pacific, of Asia, and the connections that we've had since the beginning of Vancouver as a city. We've had people from across the world, from Asia, from Europe, from South. It's a very diverse city and a real strength of our city to have that diversity. So I see we're unique in that we are a very multicultural city and a very Asian city, and we've become a very harmonious mix of Asian and European connections, and that's our great strength.
We've covered about politics, economy. Let's talk about the diverse culture here in Vancouver. Many Chinese people know you because of your Chinese ties. Your grandmother's cousin is actually Norman Bethune, perhaps the most famous Canadian in China, and you do also have a lot of good Chinese friends. So how do these connections to China make an impact on you?
My family's connections to China through Baichuan Daifu are very deep and strong. So that's something I've felt since I was a young boy, and something very important with my whole family. You know, the connections growing up in Vancouver, you hear Chinese spoken all the time, you eat Chinese food all the time. It's just part of life. We are a melting pot of different cultures here, and we celebrate each other's culture. When we have the big Chinese New Year parade in Vancouver in February this year, it's people from all different cultures come out and celebrate, and that's who we are. That's who Vancouver is. I think we're very proud of that mix of different cultures, and I think we see that as the future around the world. There's going to be more mixing of cultures and more advantages created by that, and we're happy to be a city that's been a leader in that and bringing people together and figuring out how to get the best from all of us, all of our cultures together.
A century ago, the first generation of Chinese immigrants here were real workers, but now there's a totally different picture. There's actually a growing concerns from a lot of people here in Vancouver. They feel like the rich Chinese are actually hyping up the house prices, and they feel like the Chinese community in general are not that involved in building local communities, either economically or politically. So how do you think about these concerns here?
Well, I think that the vast majority of people in Vancouver welcome newcomers to the city. We're almost all of us are immigrants to the city. That we have Aboriginal people here, make up 1% to 2% of our population, the First Nations, and then we're a mix of cultures from all over the world. And I think people here in Vancouver have always welcomed newcomers, new immigrants to our city who brought new ideas, resources, new perspectives to our city and made it more diverse. There's always some people who complain, who point out the negatives, but they are always the minority in Vancouver. There are always concerns about affordability in our city, and that's a challenge that we have as one of the world's most livable cities. We have people coming from all over the world who want to live in Vancouver. We have a very limited land base because of the mountains, the ocean, and the United States south of us. So we're limited by geography, and that means that there's pressure on affordability. Land is very valuable here, much like Hong Kong, a similar challenge that they face. And how we address that, I think first and foremost, we need to value each other. We need to be respectful. We need to care about each other. And we need to look at what tools, what approaches can ensure we have space and affordable space for everyone who wants to be here. It's not easy. There's no easy solution to this. But I think if we approach it from a good, warm-hearted place where we welcome people and we have fair rules, whether it's real estate or business, through government, we're fair, and we make sure that we play by the same rules. So that's important, and that's a piece we work on with the provincial government and the federal government. We want to make sure that it's very clear what the laws are, what the rules and regulations are, and that we respect each other through all of that.
All right, let's leave it at there. Thanks very much for sharing all of this.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So we're standing in front of Mayor Robertson's treasure chest. Let's have a look. It seems like you have a lot of artworks. So yeah, which one is your favorite?
Well, of my artworks, actually, my favorite is a painting that's over here. Oh,
it's here.
Which was given to me by the mayor of Guangzhou. And it's a beautiful painting of 我的亲戚白求恩大夫.
Oh.
Given by Mayor Chen of Guangzhou. Yeah, that's my favorite art piece right now that I keep by my desk.
And I just realized there's another photo here. It was with a Pope.
That's right.
Yeah, and you actually were the only Canadian representative in that event.
That's right, yes.
How did you feel at that moment?
Well, it was a great honor to be hosted and invited by the Pope, Pope Francis, to the Vatican City. It's a very rare honor, and to be the Canadian mayor who was invited, it was a great thing for the world, I think, to bring mayors together to talk about the moral imperative that we take action on climate change, because it's having huge impact on people all over the world, and that's why Pope Francis is gathering people like mayors to provide the leadership.
And you've collected a fair amount of books.
Lots of books given to me by guests and dignitaries who come to Vancouver.
Do you still have time to read on your such a busy schedule?
A little bit late at night is when I do my reading.
What was the last book you read?
The last book I read, well, what have I got here that... the last book I was looking at here actually is this Aboriginal Power, which talks about renewable energy in Canada in partnership with Aboriginal people who are the first people of the land here in Canada. And there's lots of exciting business partnerships now with Aboriginal people to make renewable energy possible all over Canada and transform our economy and raise the living standard for Aboriginal people. So that's been a very interesting book.
I will definitely check it out. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks
You're
very
welcome.
much.